went to start to put the bearings in the band sheet swing arm and got to heating up. My baby tanks ran out of gas, so I want to switch over to my big tanks. If you work with acetylene torches, make sure you have flash arresters on them. It's these little things right here. People put them in the lines closer to the torch. I just always put them on the gauge. How I was told to do it when I learned, so that's how I do it. But they have them for both oxygen and acetylene. It's just to make sure that the flame don't flash back to the tank and make you have a bad day. So I want to get these together, get them on the big tanks. So you get these tanks hooked up, and you get all your hoses on, you get your torch on, you get them hooked up to the tanks, turn them on, turn your pressure up to where you're going to have it at when you're running it. And the way I always do it is, I open the valve up on it, because that's going to be my running pressure. As I'm got the torch going, I set it and then kill it. It's always going to go up on both the acetylene tank and the oxygen tank. You open the oxygen tank all the way up. The acetylene tank, you just open it up maybe a one full turn. I think they say a quarter turn, but I just crank it open. That way, if anything happens, you can immediately shut it off. So the way to test to see if you have any leaks is, once you have all your pressures turned up, turn the tanks back off. Crank them all the way down, because you know the tanks aren't leaking because they're still full. They've been full for the last year. So we'll let that sit there for about 10 minutes, see where the pressure drops to. Of course, you got to know the pressure. That's on 7 psi, this is on 50 psi. So we'll leave it like that for about 10 minutes, come back, and it should stay right where it's at, because everything's off, torch is all the way off. So we'll come back in about 10 minutes and check it and see where it's at. Heat this up, and the bearings in the freezer. Like that's it, folks. We got her. And I know it's not ideal. I know it could have been done a better way. I was trying not to destroy this, which I kind of already did. Paint anyway. I'll just flip it over and do the other side the same way. I mean, it's the easiest way to get bearings in. The only reason it didn't drop in is because if you remember where I welded it, I got some splatter on the inside of the swing arm, and I had to kind of grind it off so it was a little rough. But it's in. I'll flip it over and do the same thing to the other side. Probably hit it with some primer, because we're going to be tearing this apart probably the end of the winter. He wants to ride it through the winter in the snow, and powder coat and everything if we had the money. So that's the plan. Now you know how to get bearings in and out. That's the other side. I got it in. I heated this side up, just straight down into it. I didn't heat around the outside. It took longer to heat from the outside in for some reason. I don't know why. It went in. This side went in easier too, though, because it didn't have any. Remember, I said I got a splatter on it, so it had one spot that was bad, but it shouldn't matter because it's the race, not the bearing, that's touching that. So we got it back to that part back together now. So I want to clean it up a little bit and probably start putting it back together tomorrow. I'm not going to do any more tonight. Hopefully have it running in the next couple of days. I'm going to be busy the next few days, so. But that's it, man. You guys can save yourself a lot of money doing work yourself, even if you don't know how to do it. If I would have sent it to the shop, paid the shop to do it, they probably would have charged me a couple $100. If I would destroy the swing arm, getting the bearing races out or putting the bearings in, it would have cost me a couple $100 for another swing arm. So Worst case scenario, I would have been out the money. I would have been out anyway. We try to do everything ourselves here because we are what you call working class poor. So everything that we do, we have to do ourselves. Just like, well, I wouldn't have none of this shit in this garage. Everything in this garage has been traded for the most part. Tanks, torches, traded for. Welder, I traded for the welder. Most of my tools, I have one set of tools that we bought probably 3 years ago. I just opened them up about a month and a half ago. The four-wheeler was a bunch of trades. I mean, obviously it starts out as money, but you tried to trade up. So just got to barter, man. It's part of it. Tools come in handy. You save way more money by buying the tools and doing the work yourself. And if you don't know how to work on things, the biggest thing you can do is figure out how things work themselves. If you know how they work, if you can diagnose the problem and they tear apart down to the problem and put them back, they go back together the same way. So for instance, I knew the bearings were bad in this. So I just had to figure out what to take off in order to get the swing arm off. Probably didn't do it the right way. I did it my way. It came off. I got the bearings out, got the bearings in, and now I'm going to put it right back on the same way I took it off. Same thing goes for motors and anything. If it's two-stroke motors especially, there's nothing to these motors. Literally, there's nothing to them. It's not like a four-stroke where you got to time the cam. They don't have valves. There's simple motors to work on. Even car motors are. You see all the electronics in car motors today, they work the same way that a motor did in the 1940s. Same way. You just have to get past the bullshit and relax your mind and teach yourself what things do. Once you know what they do and you can diagnose a problem, fixing is the easy part. Diagnosing is the hard part. Now you know. Hillbilly way of putting bearings in.